I'm animating this little rainbowy cat creature, and what you're seeing is actual physical drawings, but they're being shown through my Cintiq. So I scanned them. Here's the physical stack. I scanned these into my computer to do a little pencil test, because it's really hard to tell how things are going to actually look animated when you're just flipping on paper. So now I scanned it into my computer, and I can see it at exactly 15 frames a second, and notice any kind of weird little quirks or anything that doesn't look right. So I went over on green, and I am now digitally drawing over this physical animation, like kind of trying to correct it. And so now I'm actually just taping the frames onto my Cintiq, and I'm gonna try to basically trace over the corrections I made digitally. And this is all just on kind of cheap copy paper. And then once I have these rough animations in, I'm gonna go over later with a nicer, thicker cardstock, and I'm going to use Copic liner pens and trace my rough drawings, and then color in the rainbow part of the body with Copic markers. And I was just kind of practicing the hues here and trying to use a colorless blender, try to figure out how to get the hues on the cat. So there's kind of a lot of steps to this process. I normally only animate digitally, but the thing about digital animation is you don't actually have any physical frames to show for it. And I kind of miss having a whole stack of animation drawings in my hand at the end of a project. There's something really satisfying about having an actual fossil record that you can look at. And I'm also going to be selling the physical frames, which I've never actually sold my art before, like physical art. I mean, I do animation, but in terms of like actual illustrations or animation frames. So I've been just getting that kind of ready, getting the necessary shipping stuff to ship it safely and keep it protected. And yeah, so that'll be up on my website whenever I finish this animation. And I think it's gonna be like it's 13ish frames, I think, total. So obviously, you know, one frame is one drawing, and then it's gone forever once it's bought. So there's like only 13 of these. It's not like a print where you can just keep printing it over and over. I mean, I could make a print out of stuff, but yeah, but I want to start like kind of making some physical art, because I don't know, it's just kind of like, yeah, just doing everything digital. It's like there's a lot of conveniences. Like I never run out of colors digitally, you know, so it's an infinite amount of color, and a lot faster to color digitally, but at the same time, well, I guess, yeah, and I have Copic markers that I bought a long time ago, and I just have never been using them, so I feel kind of guilty whenever I look at them. It's like, but then I'm like always nervous to use my nicer material, because it feels like I'm literally wasting money. But really, it's more of a waste to just never actually use the materials you bought in the first place. So I kind of just need to get over this sort of mental hurdle. But yeah, and I'm also going to animate these little stars. Not sure if this is the exact composition I'm going to use, but I want to have some like kind of pulsating stars, maybe sparkling, or maybe some that are kind of poofing in and out of existence. Not sure yet. And then, of course, once I animate this physically, I'm going to rescan everything in with the finished colored frames and import them into my program and have an actual animation loop to put into projects and make the background transparent so I can overlay it onto stuff. But now I just have to try to line this up to my drawing here. Most of the corrections I was noticing was problems with the face and the whiskers, and also especially the little paws. The way they were originally animated, it was kind of jiggling around a lot. It's a little harder to do in-betweens on physical paper because you can't really see a ton of frames at once. Yes, this is TV Paint. Yep, TV Paint, as I like to call it sometimes, TV Pain. Been learning Blender, and I feel like I need to download another brain to learn everything. I recently started using OpenTunes. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I follow a couple of animators who use that, and also this animation tutorial channel that's always using OpenTunes. I think they're called Animator Island. Is OpenTunes free? I know like Krita and Flip-A-Clip is. I haven't tried them yet, but I want to start trying free animation programs, especially when I'm doing animation tutorials, because a lot of people can get intimidated by Toon Boom or TV Paint by the price range. And if you're just doing like any kind of frame-by-frame animation, you don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles, especially if you're just kind of more learning and you don't need to do a ton of camera stuff or compositing. But I've seen even like the more programs that aren't really like super known for animation, you can still do a lot of full-blown, full production stuff, like even Clip Studio Paint, which I use mostly for background art to get textures and things in. But they have animation capabilities in that program now, so I'd like to give that a try. Of course, Procreate. The brushes in Procreate just, I'm so envious because I don't have the whatever you need to draw it, an iPad, or I think it's on iPad. I wish it was on desktop though, because I feel like it would be kind of hard to do a full kind of a larger scale production on an iPad with memory issues and storage issues. But I guess you could animate scenes in the iPad and then transfer them to your computer and do all your final arranging in something like Final Cut or something. So there's always workarounds. I think this one is pretty much corrected. Oh, I asked you in a comment once you could show the process for doing cleanups, because these are really intimidating for me right now. Roughs are pretty easy though. I mean, kind of depends, like, so if you think the roughs are going easy but the cleanup is hard, you might do a tie down, which is like an intermediate type of drawing in between a rough and an in-between. So it'd be like, well, I guess, I mean, it kind of applies to what I'm doing right now. Like this is, the original drawing I did here was a rough, and then I did a tie down over the rough, which corrected all the little things, and this makes doing cleanup easier. So like, the more clean you can make your roughs, the easier cleanup will be. But then it also depends on like what kind of brush you're using, or I'm not sure exactly what about the cleanup is difficult, aside from the fact that it's really tedious. But I also usually, let's see here. A worm Kirby. Ha! Yeah. First you draw a circle. It's a rainbow cat creature. Guess I'll just show. Got a couple things open. I'm working on this right now, which is it's a custom loop for this guy, and I kind of just based it off his artwork. He had like weird little faces, so I'm drawing a loop of these buildings that are gonna be going up and down. It's just 3 frames right now, and then the cat is based off his cat, and his head's gonna be looking back and forth to the lights going around, and the band name is gonna be floating on this little float. So, oh wait, I'll be right back. Gonna save my Duolingo streak. Oh dang, I gotta remember to do that too. Hope you're still here when I get back. 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be here a while because I'm just finishing up all these drawings, and then some like these. This is totally not even on topic to what I'm doing right now, but I've just been doing some kind of silly little simple animations, just like little storyboardy time type things with little type of style I normally would not draw, but this is just rough, and it's like little baby smacking in the face, boom boom. This is for something. Then let's see here, little run cycle, this little guy dressed as Superman. Then he jumps into the screen, tackles with a hug, knocks over the toys, spin dashes into the Lego blocks.
Give a speech, as in talking in front of people. And then I said, oh, I don't want to do that. As an alternative to giving a speech and having a panic attack in front of more people than I've seen in my entire life, Max then said, dude, no pressure. Maybe, instead of doing a little speech, you could draw a little animation. So, let's go back to where it all started.
It's just like a little animatic thing working on. Very different style to what I'm normally doing. But I'll get back to this little cat creature. I tried to do digital art, but my art looks better on paper and when it's random. Yeah, there's pros and cons. I think with like, it depends, but like animating digitally, I find it a lot easier to get smooth looking animation, get the timing down a lot easier because you can test stuff way easier just by doing these, just by scrubbing the frames. Whereas with paper, it's a lot harder to see the context of the full animation. But in terms of actual line quality and depth of color especially, there's like a sort of harshness to digital. Whereas it's almost like more, I don't know the right word. Like, I don't know if opaque's the right word, but at least with traditional art, you can kind of build up things with all these layers. And you can work in layers on digital art too, of course, but there's almost like a harshness to it. Whereas with physical, am I on the right frame right? Oh shit, I'm not on the right frame. Sorry. I'm drawing the wrong frame. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, pros and cons. But I get that, especially if you're more comfortable with one, transitioning to the other, it can take a while. But yeah, just don't give up though. Like, there's a lot of possibilities with digital that traditional doesn't have as well. So but yeah, like right now I'm literally using both traditional and digital, using the pros of each medium, because this is all going to be physical animation, but I drew some corrections digitally, and now I'm just tracing back over it onto my paper, because I want to make sure the roughs are good before I go into the final line work. Basically, all the mistakes that you make should be at the early stages, because once you start trying to change things later down the production line, it's not good. It's not good. I just have to line this up. Okay. Alright, Procreate and the Procreate animation, so I'll try again. Ooh, nice. I mean, if you're into the look of traditional, I don't think any program besides maybe Photoshop can capture the traditional look as well with the brushes. So TV Paint has decent-ish brushes for cleanup, but not so much for like background art. The paint brushes in TV Paint are pretty cheap looking. So basically just do cell shading, because it really doesn't matter what kind of brush you have. I mean, just like a normal flat, round, pixely. So you're just drawing with pixels. And like for background art, if I want more texture, like I said, I'll do it in Clip Studio or even physically watercolor. But I haven't done that many physical backgrounds lately. I'll add like a paper texture over it though, digitally, to make it look more like it was handmade on paper. Because even though I just mostly draw digitally these days, I still always try to keep the hand-drawn feeling in there. That could also include adding things like film grain or noise to the animation. Because if there's no noise at all, and it's just perfectly flat, it feels cold. Especially if in the backgrounds. Like, I think a lot of early 2000s-ish anime, when they started transitioning to a totally digital pipeline, even though like a lot of them would still draw the animation on paper, the rough animation, all the final finished work that you actually see on the screen is polished up through digital software, and they were going for this hyper clean kind of look, and it just felt really pastel-y and kind of cold. And then there was like a lot of push for CG to be pushed in there, even when it really didn't need to be. So there's really awkward combination of clash of styles. I think it's gotten a lot better. Even the anime that's like entirely made in 3D, even if it looks kind of like a video game cutscene at times, I think it's gotten a lot better because they've been employing more the principles of animation. There'll be more squash and stretch sometimes, or just like more hand-drawn looking backgrounds, or they'll rough up the textures a little bit. I mean, these are all personal preferences. I'm not saying like, just personal preference, I guess. I can wave at people. Wow. I'm waving at people now. Try to look at the chat thingy in case anyone says anything, so I can not be a total hermit. Be a little bit social sometimes. I used to never stream, but I've been streaming on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram sometimes for the past month. Just decided I'm gonna start showing different parts of my process because I like seeing other people's processes, and also I like seeing my own process to remember how did I do something, because sometimes I forget. So it's kind of good to have some references. So I'm not especially good at keeping production notes or anything like that. I just let things become memory through trial and error. But sometimes there'll be a time where it's like I don't remember the process for doing a certain thing. Okay, I think this frame is good to go. Then I'll move to the next frame. If I can get this thing off. Stupid tape. Oy. Sick, you should check out my shirts I have. They're not too crazy, just small loops. Cool. I'll check it out. I like making loops because like making a short film, even like a 3-minute thing, can take months and months to get it done. But with the loop, you get the satisfaction of finishing it in much shorter time, and you can dedicate all that energy into only a fraction of the frames. So like sometimes in a animation, a full length animation, there'll be kind of filler stuff in there, or just less than quality animation, just things to take up time. But with a loop, you're channeling all that energy into just 30 frames or so, or however long the loop is. And it's fun because like you can experiment with a lot of different ideas really quickly, and it's kind of like taking a bunch of purposeful bets. Each one you make is a bet, and you never know which one's gonna pay off. So yeah, it's just, and also like on social media, not that this is the drive to do animation, but in terms of like having consistent content, it is an answer to that problem, to that question of how do you do something that's so time consuming as animation, make it fit into the hungry, never-ending content machine of all these different social media and YouTube algorithms that want constant feedback to be constantly fed. And creating loops is a way to make art that you can also get out there quickly. I mean, I say get out there quickly, and I've already put dozens of hours into this single loop. Well, I don't know if it's been dozens of hours, but definitely, a few days of work. So, animation is time consuming, no matter how you slice it. And I've grown more respect for other forms of animation that I maybe was more dismissive of. Even like I was talking a little bit earlier about the CG, how in 2000s anime the CG looked really awkward. But like just trying to learn Blender, I have way more respect for even kind of crappy CG and 3D stuff, because I know how technically hard it is just to make anything. Just modeling stuff is hard, and getting it to function in the context of animation, that's a whole other beast. So yeah, but then there's things like that I do find aesthetically pleasing, that maybe would seem less technically impressive, like low poly stuff. I think has aged very well. I love the look of just like the low poly aesthetic. It kind of reminds me of pixel art, in the sense that pixel art has aged very well. Those 2D games on the 16-bit Super Nintendo still look amazing to this day. Whereas maybe some of the 3D games on the N64, because they were trying to do more than the system could handle, some of those games look really muddy and maybe not as pleasing to the eye. Same thing with like on the GameCube, the games that tried to be more realistic are actually the games that have become dated, whereas the games that didn't try to look realistic, such as Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, have aged much more gracefully because that cel-shaded style is timeless. So it still looks amazing to this day. It's just a very interesting paradox that the stuff that tries to be hyper realistic becomes dated the quickest because we are so attuned to reality. We know what reality should look like. Okay, let's see here. See, I'm not even on the right frame. Oy, oy, oy. This kind of goes to the music. Oy. It's the pause that have been giving me the trouble on this. Pause in the ears. When I scan these in to do the pencil test, the pause in the ears were like going either too far to either side, and it was causing this kind of unpleasant jitter. It's just one of the issues with animating on paper. It's getting these consistent in-betweens between several frames. Because like if you have your onion skinning on digitally, you can show the previous like 3 frames or 4 frames or 5 frames and see how everything is flowing. But with physical paper, the more paper you stack on top of each other, the less you can see, because the less light travels through from the light box. So that's why I had to do a pencil test and really see how this is going to look in the context of motion. Because it's not just one individual frame that matters in animation or one individual drawing. It's how do all the drawings flow together like a song. So you really can't, it's like almost like looking at a piece of the sound wave. You have to hear it in time. Just like a song is linear, so is animation. It's something you experience in time. Just like a song you experience in time. Whereas a painting, there's no time. It's just a single instance that you can look at. But yeah, I started out just animating completely physical on not even paper. Well, I mean paper, but like little cut up pieces of paper like this. I cut it up into tiny little squares because it was faster to animate a scene. And I didn't do any storyboards or really have any plan. I would just kind of animate one frame after the other and let it turn into something. And that can be pretty fun, just to do a kind of stream of consciousness type of thing. But I quickly learned that because animation's so time consuming, it kind of sucks to get several frames into something and realizing that, oh, this actually isn't working. So it's much better to, don't just go straight into cleanup. Actually kind of do some thumbnails first and think about what you're going to do before investing a ton of time into doing it. But at the same time, sometimes if there is something freeing about just jumping in, no strings attached, no concept of what's going to happen, it can be a good creative exercise to just take the pressure off. And it's kind of like doodling, but you're doodling one frame after the other, and the lines will emerge into different shapes, and you just kind of follow. Because you might think you don't have any ideas, and that's okay. If you just start scribbling and moving your hand around, ideas will present themselves to you, because there's an imperfection to our bodies. We're not precise machines. Our arms are made of bones and muscle, and we shake weirdly, and our lines are going to be imperfect, and you just have to be able to look at the symbol of lines like clouds in the sky and see things. How you might see faces in the sky. Just see different objects. Move your arm around and let things reveal themselves to you if you find you have some kind of creative block. It's called automatic doodling. Sometimes, like, if you feel like you have to be in drawing mode, or even like writing, there's like this stage fear performance anxiety. Like, you gotta take the spotlight off yourself and just go with the flow a little bit. And the more you start doing stuff, the less you really think about it, less weird it feels. That's kind of how I've approached talking. I always feel weird talking, but once I start talking, even talking to someone, and I realize, oh, they're kind of weird, I feel less nervous. But it's a weird phenomenon, because I don't know if it just comes with age or something. I used to have way worse social anxiety, whereas now I have very little social anxiety, sort of, but it's more like a sensory anxiety or sensory overload, where I enjoy being around people if I have to, but after a few hours, I have to just like either go in the bathroom or get out of it for a little bit and just declutter my mind. I start feeling a little overwhelmed, but it's not so much an anxiety thing as it feels just like a sensory overload. And then like the next day I'll need like several days to myself. Like I can go a week without talking. Well, I talk every day because I chat with my special friend, but I think like now that I have my own place where I live alone, I find that I know, like, okay, I'll always have my own alone apartment that I'm going to be going back to. So I become a lot less stressed if I find that I'm getting stressed, because I know it's like a turtle in its habitat. You have your little habitat you can go back to and recharge the batteries. So like I just keep that in the back of my mind. It's like, I'm definitely grateful. Little whiskers. I think this one's the tail. There's something weird with the tail going on. Yep, I had the tail coming out way too much over here. Which, as an individual drawing, I kind of like the tail coming up more, but when I was animating it, it was shooting out high really too fast. So I need to have it still favoring the bottom. It's kind of coming out more from the bottom of his booty. Have you ever seen the unfinished masterpiece, The Thief and the Cobbler? Yes, by Richard Williams. He was working on it for 30-something years. And, he's a master. Also a master teacher. The Animator Survival Kit definitely, it's like something I reread and I still don't even understand a lot of it. It's like, he was just, that's not a knock against his teaching ability. He's an amazing teacher. I just mean the depth of his understanding is, it's inspiring. He also directed the animation on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was a very technical animator. He said, I didn't necessarily, I feel like an idiot just saying, I disagree with him on something, because obviously he's, I'm but a flea compared to him. But, there were some things he said that I think were more his opinions than objective truth. And one of those things was he said to never listen to music when you're animating, because you can't concentrate on more than one thing at once. And I understand where he's coming from there about not multitasking. And it also depends on what you're doing. So maybe if you're, doing the storyboard and you really need to concentrate, yes, don't have distracting music on. But instrumental music I don't find distracting if it's chill. And then if you're just doing the cleanup or something that's more automatic or meditative, then I don't see any harm in having music on, because that's a different mode of your brain. Because you can talk. I'm talking right now and doing this type of thing. So I don't know. That's not a big deal, but that is in his book, and a lot of people have pointed it out. That's kind of a weird thing, because there's a lot of really good animators who you see pictures of them or videos, and they have headphones on, they're plugged away in the zone. Music is how some people get in the zone. So, not to harp on about that, but, yeah. But yeah, he's definitely one of the big inspirations. Okay, this one is done. I'm glad I scanned these into my computer and I drew over it on green to redraw stuff so I can trace over it and hopefully make it less stupid before I do the line work. Still not perfect. I'm seeing some mistakes, but I'll just say it's part of the charm, I guess. Have some little jitters in there. Make it a little more stop motion-y. Even with storytelling, the music helps you feel the emotion you want to convey in the story. Yeah, actually, Jordan Peele, the director, he did Get Out, and of course the Peele and now I'm blanking. He did that comedy show with his other partner. I can't remember his name now. But anyways, he was talking about that, how when he's writing a really scary scene, sometimes he'll actually put on super chill, peaceful music to write to. And he said if he can still make it scary despite the music being very calming, then he knows he's making a good scene. Instead of, like, you might think, oh, if you're writing a horror movie, you want to put on scary music to get in the mood. But he was saying the problem with that is if you put scary music over anything, it becomes scary. So it's almost like cheating. So I thought that was kind of an interesting writing technique, to use opposite music to the theme you're writing. And if you can make it successful despite the music putting you in the opposite frame of mind, then that's kind of a test that, hey, once we put the good music here, it's just going to make it better. I can't pronounce this guy's name, but Watanabe process employs music very heavily too. Yeah, you have to remind me. He did. Am I right in thinking that's the Cowboy Bebop guy? Sometimes I get the names mixed up. Cowboy Bebop. Yoko. Wait, I don't know. I forget her name. But yeah, I like the music on Cowboy Bebop. So I have to say Yoko Ono, but I'm pretty sure she didn't do the music to Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, I actually never watched Cowboy Bebop until last year. I mean, I saw it on Toonami when I was a kid growing up, a few episodes, but I was like, this show's weird. It doesn't have enough key blasts. I was more strictly into Dragon Ball Z, which I still love Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, like, I think I probably wouldn't have appreciated Cowboy Bebop as much when I was a kid, because the themes are a little more mature. But it was fantastic, just from every level of the production, from the characters, the writing, the mood, the setting, the development of the world. I wanted to see more of it. I was so sad when it was over, but I guess that's how you know it was a good show, is they built up just enough for you to really want to see more of these characters. I was sad when Ed was gone. I really liked that character. All the characters were great. Oy. I just started watching Sandland. It's a Akira Toriyama manga. It's on Hulu. Did an adaptation of it. I'm like 3 episodes in. I'm enjoying it. It's kind of like Dragon Ball meets Mad Max. Yeah, I'm liking it. Okay. Just trying to rough out more where these eyes should go as I start actually animating it. Alright, that frame is done. My favorite animation is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I love everything about it involving animation. Yeah, I remember leaving the theaters being blown away. I didn't really see any trailers for it either, so I was kind of not really sure what to expect. And I like the sequel too, although I think I like the first one more just as a standalone movie. I understand the sequel is very much leading into the next movie, even more so than the first one did. So it felt almost like an unfinished movie in a way, but I still thought it was fantastic. And yeah, the Spider-Verse, they mesh so many different styles and techniques. It's just a celebration of animation. And you couldn't do it with a better character than Spider-Man, because, I mean, he's so acrobatic. And I see a lot of like comic artists, and like if you want to show your figure drawing skills, draw Spider-Man, because you can have him in all kinds of crazy poses with incredible striking silhouettes. So you couldn't pick a better character to be a celebration of 2D animation. There's a new Batman series coming out. I just saw the trailer for, inspired by the at least some of the original people who worked on the 90s animated series are working on it. Looks like a true spiritual successor, but it looks like it's going to be even a little bit more gritty and be more geared for adults. I mean, we were all kids when we were watching in the 90s, so it's probably geared for the people that grew up with it. Like a love letter, kind of like that X-Men cartoon that came out recently that continues the 90s X-Men, which I haven't watched that yet either. But despite the kind of volatile state of the animation industry, there's a lot of really interesting stuff that's all coming out right now, it seems. I'm working on my old iMac computer. I have 3 computers running right now. I have my iMac 2011 that I'm using to trace over. I mean, this is my Wacom tablet hooked up to it. And then my main computer to the left of me, I'm rendering scenes from Blender. And then my laptop behind me, I'm listening to music on. So I got 3 things coming out here. Let me save this. Alright, I think I drew all the frames. Should be it. But some of the animation that came out is scary, like the Diary of Wimpy Kid 1. I haven't seen that. I know about the little thing it's based on though. So this is this is my physical paper. And then the next one, I'll be actually drawing over this, the official line work. So that's it. Thanks for stepping by. Peace out, everybody. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. Now how do you turn this thing off?